Hey everybody, this is your host Ray Goots. We are back with Goots' Wrestling Pod. I was away for family matters, but we're back, and we're in the year 1993. It's Royal Rumble '93, and I'm with Andrew Lee, bro. Andrew Lee, how you feeling, bro?
I'm good, Ray. How was Steve Urkel?
Who's Steve Urkel?
Family Matters.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I was dealing with family stuff, but yeah, no, Steve Urkel wasn't there. We don't, my family's hates black nerds. We banned them.
Oh well,
Um,
I like him.
Speaking of black nerds, Virgil died, but.
No, keep going, keep going.
Virgil, who I met at Caroline's when I was a manager and like begged me for free food, has
Did you
passed
give him the
away.
free food?
Yeah, they gave me a dude fucking, and they gave me a fucking hard time. Like they acted like I was giving a homeless guy free food. I was trying to explain. I'm like, but
Can
he's on.
you instead of like in honor of Virgil's memory, can you like really go into detail with the story? Like, how did he ask? Did he go like, can you
He begged me. He begged me for food.
like how did he beg you? Like, can I get please get some free
He
food,
goes,
please?
"Can I get something to eat?" And I'm like, "You can get, yeah, you're allowed. So you're allowed one thing. You know how comedy clubs are. You're allowed one thing."
Yeah.
And he goes, "What if I give you an autographed picture? Can I get two?"
Didn't know he did.
And I'm like, "Yeah."
No
And then
wait,
he
for real? No wait,
followed
for
me.
real. Did he did he
Followed,
really Did he really give you that offer? If I
yeah,
give you an autograph picture, can I get two?
yeah. And I
Wow.
gave them two, and they got mad at me, the club. And then I had to interview someone who could be a waiter, and he sat down with me and started telling the guy, "Do you know who I am?" And the guy
Wait,
was,
Virgil sat down with you?
"Yeah."
Wait, why was Virgil there when you had to interview someone to be a waiter?
He came
Doesn't make
early
any
for the Iron Sheik roast. He came super early.
Oh.
So when I saw him, I like gave him a big hello because it's Virgil, you know? And then like he thought that meant like he gets to do whatever he wants. And he didn't leave me alone. Like he followed me around for like 3 hours to the point I was like avoiding.
Wait, what two food items did you give him?
He wanted a cheeseburger and the wings, I believe.
Cheeseburger. He got cheeseburger and wings. Did he give you the autograph picture?
Yeah, he gave me two. I don't know what I did with them. I should probably
Wow, he
go.
gave you two,
Yeah.
and you only gave him two items. Come on, man, that's like three items worth. Oh,
They still dude, they yelled at me like I fucking gave him the keys to like the vault, the Caroline's vault. He
cheeseburgers
got
and
so upset that he got an extra plate. He got so upset that this fucking guy got fucking wings that cost him 5 cents. And I
brother.
had to be like, this guy's a big deal to me. And they looked at me like I was like, you booked this show. I didn't book a show that booked Virgil. All right. You guys booked this thing, and
I'm still
Virgil's
trying
one
to
of the
picture
performers.
Virgil. I'm still trying to picture Virgil going like, "Hey, please, can I get some free food? You get one item. Yo, if I give you an autograph picture, can I get two? Like that's how he asked.
Yeah. And and then like he tried to sit in on the meeting. Like we because Thursdays we'd have like the meeting of like the management and the upper staff about the upcoming week, and he sat down in the meeting. And everyone looked at me. It was my job to tell Virgil you can't sit in the meeting. So he went and started talking to the waiters, and they were all like, they didn't know who he was. So he just
How
like,
early did he get there?
he was there at like 4 o'clock,
What time was the event?
like eight.
He got there like 4 hours before the event was supposed to begin.
Yeah,
That's ridiculous, dude.
yeah, because I used to have to get in at 4:30. He was there.
Wow, that's so early. That
Hmm.
is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But he's dead. And so's Richard Lewis, who I also knew at Caroline's. And they're both dead. I think Tony Khan killed them both because he knew that they liked me. So
Remember that time Richard Lewis came into you and he was just like, "Can I please get some free food?" And you were like, "You can get one item." He goes, "What if
no,
I give
Richard
you
Lewis
an
got what he
autograph?
wanted because him and
What if I
Caroline.
give you this autograph picture of Virgil?"
Richard Lewis is also doing that. He has autograph pictures of Virgil. He's like, here's an autograph picture of Virgil. Can I get one?
Oh man! Oh
Um,
my god,
but
that's so funny.
Virgil was very annoying. Like it was like it's weird when someone. It's weird. Like I'll just throw out this. You know, I find be a fucking annoying Daniel J. Perfon. It's weird when a celebrity becomes that guy. You know,
when a celebrity becomes paraffin.
Yeah, like a guy I find annoying. Yeah, it's weird when that happens. Like you go from like,
Oh
oh my God,
yeah,
this guy that I saw on TV, because like if you walked out of your house right now and fucking Adam Bomb is like just standing in front of your house, you're probably gonna be like, oh my God, it's Adam Bomb, you know?
but you know what? You know the thing at this through comedy is where I really lost um being starstruck
Yeah,
because
me too.
from working with some people that like I admired on television and seeing how human they are, and by human meaning like
Annoying.
they're just like everybody else. The way they talk, the way they behave. Some of them are really fucking disrespectful for no reason. Some of
Mhm.
them are very rude. Some of them are very stupid. And just seeing that, I don't get starstruck for anybody. I'm being dead serious. You put anybody in front. If you go like, "Hey, Andrew, you gotta walk like 10 minutes to go meet, I don't know, somebody like Brad Pitt," I'll be like, "No, thanks." What am I gonna get out of that? Like, what the fuck am I
The
gonna get
only
out of it?
person, the only person I would be struck over at this point is probably Hulk Hogan. That's it. That's it.
Me would probably be Bret Hart, but
I already met Bret Hart twice, so
I feel like I'm at a certain point where I don't even know if I want to meet him because I'm afraid that something that comes out of his mouth is going to make me no longer like him.
no,
Like
he's
I'm like,
no, he's actually a really nice guy. You're
yeah,
gonna
because
like
so
him.
I'm like sometimes he says stupid things. Like I mean, I
Yeah,
read
but
some of
he's
the things.
not. But if you like, like I talk to him as a regular person, I think sometimes these guys say things just so people pay attention to them.
Maybe
You interview
I
Bret
just
Hart, and you're like, "What do you think of Triple H?" Actually, I've watched some of his matches. It's actually not that bad. That doesn't get a headline. But if you're like, "I think Triple H is a piece of shit," that gets
mhm.
like you attention, and that like I think sometimes some guys say stuff so like people pay attention.
Maybe you're probably right about that, but yeah, I mean, yeah, comedy was one of through comedy. I just really met some people that I really admired, and then when they turn out to be fucking dumb people, I was like, you know what? These people, they're just people. So fuck it.
People who need people.
People who
Let me
need people with
of, of
autograph pictures of Virgil.
speaking of missing Hulk Hogan, let's talk about Royal Rumble '93. Man,
Yeah.
this feels like a dead promotion. I want to give this era the benefit of the doubt. This is the era where I completely lost interest. But man, he made all the wrong moves on this show. It's not a good show. I didn't like it.
I'm gonna disagree. So this, I see what you're saying. '93 is where you kind of checked out of wrestling because Hulk Hogan was out.
Yeah.
But for me, this is more like where things are now really vivid for me. Meaning, like when I was a kid, um, this is where I really started becoming fully aware of what wrestling was, and I would remember the full cards and going like, man, I wish I could watch the pay per view. So this is like I don't know. For me, it was like, oh shit, I remember things happening, but having a strong desire to keep watching. Remember, I'm a Bret Hart guy, so this is like prime Andrew Lee. You know,
I mean, he's still the best thing on the show, but the Royal Rumble match, you really felt a lack of star power. Where like the year before, everyone felt like such a huge star. Every single person that came in the ring. This one, it doesn't feel like that. And the people that do feel like stars, he almost goes out of his way through booking that match to make them look like fucking lesser than. Like
yeah, but
actually, this guy sucked.
well, to be fair though, 19 the last year's Royal Rumble, 1992 Royal Rumble,
Mhm.
that's like a different Royal Rumble. The amount of star power in that one compared to the other Rumbles, right? Wouldn't you say it's like
Yeah,
abnormal?
but you have to wonder why you chased away a lot of these guys who had star power, like Roddy, or you just didn't use them. Like you could have still used Roddy Piper, you didn't. You could have Hacksaw Jim Duggan's still in the company. He's not in the match. Kamala is still in the company. He's not in the match. Um, you make Boss Man look like a fucking moron. It's really like weird. Um, he's clearly like, I'm getting he clearly is sick of like the '89 era. And this is the problem though, is that like you're telling the audience they're old. I'm 12. Yeah, I'm 12. And you're telling me that my era is old. I'm a 12-year-old kid. Like, no, bro. They're not like I still want more of these guys. Like, it's not done yet, you
This
know?
is very interesting. Okay, so while I agree, yeah, Junior he definitely probably chased away. Like you're right, 1992, the beginning of it, he had
Yeah,
all these stars. He had probably at that time the best roster of all
yeah,
time, and he
yeah.
chased away more than half of the top guys, like literally
And
more than half, right?
he's about
But
to just let
now,
Ric Flair go.
yeah, yeah, he
Tomorrow night.
let like Sid Vicious is gone. What do you call it? Hogan's gone. It's just like a mess. However, I don't. I guess, like I said, because it's different for me than you, just because of the age difference. To me, this was not like a bad period. Like I didn't watch this thinking it was that bad. You
Dude,
know?
I tried to watch this show with like because I know that eventually the company recovers and there's some really good shit. And I'm like, can I just enjoy this based on the match quality? And I didn't, except for one match, which was Bret Hart. I didn't. But we'll get it. Actually,
Well,
two
we'll get
matches.
into it.
Yeah, let's get
Yeah,
into it.
let's get into it, man. Royal Rumble 1993. January 24, 1993 is when it takes place in Sacramento, California. 16,000 people are in attendance. Not bad.
Mhm.
Gorilla Monsoon, he's going to welcome us to the arena. He's with Bobby Heenan. So no Junior, thank God. It's
Thank
just,
God. This is also the last show they do together, which
oh, is it? That's terrible
I mean,
because
I
I
think they still do
really,
like regular shows, but in terms of pay-per-views, yeah.
yeah, because I really liked Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon were good
Yeah,
together.
me too.
And yeah, he's with Bobby Heenan, and Gorilla Monsoon runs down the card, and Bobby Heenan just he's so like antsy and he's protesting and he goes, "Hey, what about the unveiling of the narcissist? The unveiling of the narcissist, that's the most important thing." And I was like, "Ooh, it's gonna be interesting." But
Mhm.
anyway, we're gonna go to our first match. The Beverly Brothers come out to way worse music than they originally had. Oh, why did they change that theme song? That was the only good thing they had, the theme song. They changed it. It's the Beverlys versus the Steiners. The Steiner brothers, that's right, from WCW, they had debuted just like a month earlier in December.
Bill Watts chased them out because he's a genius.
Yes, Bill Watts,
Mhm.
the wrestling genius. He basically, you know what happened? I bet Bill Watts, he watched Scott Steiner probably do a top rope move, and he was like, "No, that's not gonna
He
work."
didn't he didn't think he didn't like Scott Steiner. He's
Yeah, yeah, I read that. He
he
liked Rick because he
he
worked
wanted
with Rick in
Scott
the
Steiner
past.
gone. What I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. Yeah, Will Watts liked Rick because he worked with Rick Steiner before, but he did not like Scott Steiner, and he basically chased Scott Steiner out, thinking that Rick Steiner would choose him over his brother. Like, and this guy's a genius. What a genius! No, instead he chased them both out right into Vince McMahon's
Right
laps.
into right into they probably like had like I don't know, but I'm assuming they probably like had years and they're probably like we're gonna stay in WCW because in WCW they can have the matches they want. They can wrestle the New Japan guys or anything. And he chased them out. Like, dude, after watching the matches they had the last few weeks, chasing those two fucking guys out into the arms of Vince McMahon. Because yes, Vince McMahon did bungle them, but Vince McMahon, if he didn't bungle them, what money he could have made on them, and you just hand them to Vince McMahon.
Yeah, and like don't get me wrong, Junior's an idiot too, right? Like we just talked about how he chased away all his top
Yeah,
guys from 1992, and yeah, he didn't do a good job with the Steiners, but man, Watts is an idiot. He's a
but
full
you
blown
know
idiot.
what? When Watts is chasing, I don't know. Watson chased away Lex, but when WCW is chasing away guys like Steiner and Lex, who was the company's future, you maybe in the back of your mind, you're like, I can afford Davey Boy Smith to get the fuck out of here. I can afford to fire Kerry Von Erich. I can afford to tell Ricky Steamboat to go fuck himself because these three guys are the future, and now they're mine. I was worried
Hmm.
about these guys in the come up, and now they're mine. So they're going to be my future now. You know?
Yeah, he has at this point three of the four young pillars of WCW. Really.
It's just insane that 2 years later that they're gone. After that, a
Yeah,
killer match at Super Bowl, and
yeah,
I mean
and
he fucks them all up, but whatever.
this is also the fun period of wrestling where I feel like this is where you see guys jumping back and forth all over the place. Yeah, and I love that. I love that. I don't know about you, but I remember like especially when it gets later on when I'm a teenager, where it's just like you never know who's gonna show up where. You know that
You
feeling?
know,
It's fun.
yeah. You know what was kind of like? So we were recording this on Wednesday. Even though I think this guy sucks, and I wouldn't have hired him, the fact that they kept it a secret, and then Sean Spears showed up on NXT last night,
Hmm.
I think that was pretty cool because nobody knew. Also, nobody cares because that guy's garbage. But dude, he's so smart though because he knows like after like 5 or 6 of these, they're not gonna rush to sign AEW guys. So him being like the fourth AEW guy to make the jump was so fucking smart of Sean Spears because they're gonna treat him like a big deal for a little bit just because he left AEW.
I think Sean Spears is actually a smarter person than people realize for that reason, right?
Yeah,
Remember, he kind of forced WWE's hand to get rid of him. Remember that?
yeah, I
The
remember
first
that.
time he went to AEW, he went on this. He was one of the first guys to go on social media asking for his release personally, and
And
that's
they
how
treated
they
him like a
gave
big
him.
deal at first, and
Yeah,
then they realized
and
he had
I don't think whenever he's not presented the right way, it's never his fault. I think it's the way they push him. That's always like a problem, right? Because you know me, I've always said I think he's more talented than he actually is. But I will agree with you that nobody really cares because if you watch that clip from last night, right, where Ty Dillinger comes back, they piped in that crowd noise, bro.
But I mean,
They
like, it's
piped it in.
still like looking back, it's fun that nobody reported that, and it was like a surprise. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
you're
I
right,
was like, oh, how come the journalists didn't know this shit?
dude. I don't.
Well,
I'm done. I'm done with those guys. I don't think they know any. I think you
no, they
can
don't know
assume.
anything. They don't know anything. That's
You can
why.
assume like we assume. Like you can
Yeah,
assume that Sasha is probably going to show up in AEW. You can assume that Okada. You just based
dude.
on
No
those
offense,
things.
but how hard is that? Okay, Okada, the greatest wrestler from New Japan Pro Wrestling,
Mhm.
leaves. What are your options? Is someone really gonna be like, he's actually gonna show up at CMLL? No, motherfucker. He's gonna show up in either. He's gonna. What do you think? He's gonna show up at GCW? There's only
Yeah,
two options: WWE and AEW. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to fucking pick one. Jeez, these
dude,
girls.
I'm so done. Like I don't even like argue about AEW or give a shit about it anymore.
Mhm.
Like I'm so done with this. They have the same problem since day one. Like they're showing up a lot of like CML luchadors, right? But they're just like putting them in high profile matches without like telling you who they are or like these guys are just showing up. And to me, it's like this is why guys like Sean Spears didn't work and had to leave because you get like a plaything from another company and you put them on the TV show rather than like, hey man, I signed already 200 guys. Maybe I should give Private Party these matches so people give a shit about them and I can sell Private Party action figures instead of letting them go down to $4. But he does it, and when you say like, why are these guys? The crowd gets mad. He's done this since day one and they just keep doing the same mistakes. They're dwindling attendance, and you have to protect. Like I'm just so done with that fucking company. I know I bring them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
And like
I
Google it,
you're
Google it. No,
being, nah, you're kind of biased just because you don't like Mexican wrestlers. That's
I
why.
love Mexican wrestling, but I'm just like, you know what? You know what was what? You know what happened this weekend? And this is a great example of why AW's. This is great. This is a great story. So, my nephew wants to go see wrestling, right? And finally, his father's going to relent to bring him to a house show. And this came up. I love that anyway. This came up, but I overheard it. And my other cousin, who's older, she's older than me. She goes, "Yeah, we went to one when we were kids. We really want to see Razor Ramon. We thought he was the coolest." And I'm like, "Yeah, can you believe he was in Spanish?" And they were like, "What? He was in Spanish?" And that's the magic of pro wrestling. Like these people, like not like they like loved wrestling, but they wanted to go see wrestling because of Razor Ramon, and they just always assumed he was Hispanic. They didn't like so when AEW brings up a guy and you're expected to know like that he wrestled for CMML and in Germany and he was in the J Cup and he fucking tied with Will Ospreay for the fucking GCW farts of death match and all this other bullshit. They expect you just to know. It takes away the magic. Like these people didn't walk in being like, oh, it's Scott Hall from AWA and the Diamond Stud and this, that, and the third. They were presented this new magical character and they believed in him and it stayed with them their entire lives.
Wait, Razor Ramon's not Hispanic?
No, he's not. His name's Scott Hall.
Oh, Jesus.
Isn't that
Anyways,
a great story though? That everyone was to this day believed he was Hispanic.
yeah, I think that's kind of interesting. I didn't know he wasn't Hispanic until I started finding out his name was Scott Hall, and I was like,
Yeah,
wait a minute, why is his name Scott Hall?
but I mean,
Like
like,
literally, I was like, wait a minute, why is that? Why did he pick that name Scott Hall? It's such a bad name, and they were
but
like, no, that's his real name, and I'm like, wait, how is that his real name? And then they were like, I was like, that doesn't sound like a Hispanic name, and they were like, yeah, he's not Hispanic, and I
oh,
was
he's
like,
Hispanic.
he's not.
Dude,
But anyways,
but dude, but see, if like they booked Scott Hall, if they booked Razor Ramon that like AEW does, they would have had fucking MJF come out and go, "What's up, Scott Hall?" And like just remember when you were in AWA, you couldn't cut it. Now you think you're so cool. Like they just, you know what I mean? That takes away the
yeah, but
magic.
I don't blame the wrestlers for that. I don't even blame AEW. I blame one person. It's Tony Khan.
Yeah,
I like
exactly.
AEW. I like the wrestlers there. I think they have some of the best talent going today, but that the guy in charge is a buffoon. That's
Yeah.
so I blame that guy, and it is even if the way your example that you gave, that would whose fault would that be? That would be Tony Khan's fault.
Yeah.
You
So
know?
like you can bring in some of these guys, but if you present it in a way that's not like in order for you to really like appreciate this guy, you have to have been watching. You have to just be sitting on the internet all day. If you present it in a different way, you can give me anyone and it's gonna work. But the way they do it and the arrogant way they're like, well, you should just know about wrestling. No, I shouldn't. I just want to watch your. What if I just want to watch your stupid fucking show, Dynamite? You have to tell me why I care about these people on your stupid fucking show because I have
Yeah.
a life.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
And they got to be more like Junior, who presents people the right way, just like how he presented the Steiners really well by
Yes.
having them in the opening match against the Beverly Brothers here. Scott Steiner and Bo, who is NXT's Von Wagner's father,
Yes.
they're
The
going to
legacy.
start this match off. Yeah. And Scott Steiner has the upper hand on Bo. And so Bew tags in. And then is it Bo and Beverly? I forget who does
Whatever.
that.
They don't matter as people.
Rick Steiner tags in. He dominates Bo, but then the Beverly Brothers finally get to beat up on Scott Steiner. Um, this is a funny part where this is why I like this commentary team so much. Gorilla Monsoon, he complains about a tag he didn't see, but it was an actual tag by the Beverly Brothers, but he didn't see it, and he goes, "I didn't see a tag," and then Bobby Heenan's like, "Don't worry, I saw it," and Gorilla's like, "Yeah, but I didn't think there was a tag," and Bobby goes, "It doesn't matter what do you need. It doesn't matter what you think. Do you need to see everything I told you I saw it," and that like was great. I was just like, see, that's what it is. It's like when you have this commentary team where these two guys are like supposed to be like opposite ends, they could
Mm-hmm.
have little arguments like this and it seems realistic. And I just like little things like that is what made that commentary team so good.
Oh,
But
they're
anyway,
like one of the best commentary teams ever. Yeah.
yeah, I would say
They
that's one of
add
the
so much. They add so much to even like the worst show. They add so much, and it's
yes.
like,
Uh-huh.
dude, that's a sign of it. Like, you know what? That's how I used to feel about Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler. Like, not later on, but like in 98, 99. It was just like, even if the match sucks, they're like, they make it better just by talking.
Yeah, yeah. And I think they in a way have the same dynamic
Mm-hmm.
Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan have, where
They,
they are like antagonistic to each other, right? But they still remain professional at the end of the day, you know? And
they
I
should
think,
they should bring that back with you know whether you should bring it back because I think WWE it's too hard. AEW. AEW should have Excalibur and somebody else or Tony Schiavone and somebody else. And it's this kind of like friendly antagonistic back and forth the entire show.
yeah,
I think it would add
yeah.
a
And you know what? Like, almost like these two guys, they don't really like each other, but they just have to work together because they're professionals, right? And they're willing
yeah.
to work together. And I hate these three-man boobs. They got to get rid of them. I
Three,
totally agree with you. They the closest thing they have to that right now is in any company, and I'm talking WWE too, is on Collision. Nigel McGuinness is like that, right?
yeah.
Where he's like very negative towards like Danielson for and stuff like that. However, there's only like 3 people watching Collision, so it's really tough for people to realize that. But I agree. They need to. If I had a wrestling show, I would be like, we're getting 2 guys on commentary, and one guy is going to be for the heels, one guy is going to be for the good guys, and you guys are gonna like Jesse Ventura or something like that, or
Yeah.
Bobby. That's what I
But
would.
listen, when Raw was doing Band the Ratings, they had a 3-man booth. When Raw suddenly starts being Nitro, it has a 2-man booth. And you can also argue that the show got better, and I'll make that, but also it becomes much more pleasant to listen to when it's just Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler rather than Vince McMahon, Jim Ross, and Jerry Lawler, and Vince is like stepping over Jim Ross's lines every 2 seconds.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Anyways, getting back to this match, the Beverly Brothers, they're tagging in often, tagging in and out. They're working well as a heel. They're as a heel tag, they're choking out Scott Steiner when the ref's not looking. When I was watching this, I started thinking they're not bad. They're just boring. This tag team,
Yeah.
they're actually competent wrestlers. They're competent tag team. They're just like boring. Bill
I think
Alfonso, by
their
the way,
job was just to make other tag teams look good on pay-per-views or TV shows.
yeah, that's a sucky job, but someone's got to do it. Bill
Mhm.
Alfonso, by the way, he's the referee in this match.
Mhm.
And Rick Steiner, he eventually makes the hot tag and he starts throwing around Blake. And then the Beverly Brothers try to hit the Doomsday device on Scott Steiner, which I was just like, oh, was this the Legion of Doom already out by this point?
Yeah, they're gone.
Oh, okay. No wonder they're trying to do the Doomsday
Hawk
device.
is in Japan.
Yeah. But what do you call it? Scott Steiner kind of wiggles out of it, and then Scott Steiner hits the Frankensteiner on Blake, who lands right on his fucking head. He landed right on his head, bro. And Scott Steiner gets the cover and wins. Uh, what did you think about this opening match?
It was a fine showcase for the Steiners, but I mean, it pales in comparison to anything they did in WCW. It's just basically to the new audience members, this is what the Steiners are capable of, and that's it.
Yeah, but that's a fair
But it was
opening.
a
It's
good
not a bad
match.
opening.
It
That's
was
a
a
good
good match.
showcase. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Then we get a recap of Marty Jannetty and HBK saga. This
Mhm.
is a saga. They start with the whole when Shawn Michaels. I remember watching this when I was a kid. Shawn Michaels is in the ring doing his posing in front of the mirror, and through the heart-shaped mirror's reflection, you see Marty Jannetty standing there behind Shawn Michaels. Great camera angle, so you
That
could
was
actually
good.
see Marty
Yeah.
Jannetty through the mirror. Oh, I remember that. It was like a movie. The way they filmed it, it was like a movie scene. And then Marty Jannetty accidentally hitting Sherry with the mirror because Shawn Michaels pulls her into it. This is a great setup. This is like I consider this one of the best, probably one of the best like storyline angles WWF's has ever done. In my opinion. I
Yeah.
mean, they still talk about it. They still reference it. This is match number 2 for the Intercontinental Championship. Sherry Martel comes out alone, walks out alone first. And this is for Marty Jannetty versus the champion, Shawn Michaels. Sherry Martel is just standing at ringside, and HBK's asked her to come into the ring to take off all his gear, and she seems very disinterested. Marty Jannetty starts off with a lot of offense, but when he goes to the top rope and he jumps down to the floor, Shawn Michaels hits him and turns the tide, so now he is in control. After a while, Shawn Michaels hits the post, and both men are down, but Marty still can't get an advantage until Marty Jannetty suplexes Shawn Michaels outside, and while Shawn Michaels is outside, Sherry slaps him in the face. People cheer, they go crazy. And Marty Jannetty back in the ring is hitting Shawn Michaels with everything he's got, even a super kick, but nothing is putting HBK away. He keeps tapping out, and every time I'm not tapping out, he keeps like kicking out. And every time kicking out, the crowd's just getting into it more and more. A ref bump happens by Shawn Michaels, and Marty Jannetty has Shawn Michaels in a full Nelson, and he signals to Sherry, come on into this ring. And she comes into the ring, she takes off her shoe, and she goes to nail Shawn Michaels, but he ducks, and she clobbers Marty Jannetty with the shoe instead. Then Shawn Michaels super kicks him in the face for the win. Sherry runs off. She's so disappointed in herself. In the back, Mean Gene grabs her to have a conversation, and he goes, "Calm down, woman. You're hysterical." And then Shawn Michaels runs in and he starts shaking her too and confronting a hysterical Sherry. And then Marty Jannetty jumps in from behind. And I don't know if you noticed this in the backstage fight. On the ledge, there was this one orange just sitting there in the back, just one random orange.
Oh,
No
Vince.
other food or fruit around, just one orange. And when they're fighting, someone grabbed it and fucking chucks it so it goes flying. And everybody, all the officials and agents have to come and break it up. What did you think about this? The fight, I mean, the match, and then the backstage stuff afterwards.
I thought the match was very disappointing for these two guys. I didn't think it was that good. I thought I wasn't I like this just should be so much better. And it wasn't it just wasn't that good. And Marty gets fired right after this. So they don't pick this up until the summer, where he does finally beat Shawn Michaels on. He beats Shawn Michaels on a Raw. I think it's the Raw where 1, 2, 3 Kid beats Razor Ramon. Um,
He gets fired right after this.
yeah. So that's why, like,
What did he
whatever.
do?
He was Marty Jannetty. He was on drugs and stuff. So I don't know. I kind of felt like Vince already knew I'm gonna fire this guy. So the finish kind of makes Marty look like an idiot. But I don't know. Like these guys deserve to have like a big WrestleMania blow off to this feud, and we never really get it. Like I really wish maybe it saved if they had maybe if they had this felt like it's setting up for a rematch that never really happened. I mean it does
Mhm.
happen, but it's on Raw and a house show, and then he kind of goes away again. Like he does win the belt from Shawn for a little bit, and then he loses it to Shawn because of Diesel. Then that's it. We don't really, and then Shawn goes away because he gets to do a thing with Vince, and never really picks up. So I kind of wish these guys did have like a blow off at Mania. Instead, he fights Tatanka. I don't know. It just felt like a setup, and knowing that really nothing comes of it is just kind of like a disappointing match.
Oh, so according to this is what they're saying. Janetti was released again after rumors circulated stating that he had been under the influence of alcohol and other drugs during that match.
Well, yeah, maybe that's why the match isn't that good.
Yeah, that's what I said, leading to the comparably low quality. That's
Yeah.
why. So some people did it. I mean, you're right about that. I mean, that's probably true.
I mean, maybe if he hadn't, they would have went with a big blow off at Mania instead of Tatanka, Shawn Michaels.
Let me let it continue. It says Janetti to this day denies having been intoxicated at the event, but explains having been rather tired because of lack of sleep.
Mhm.
And that the rumor had been started by Shawn Michaels to escape blame for the match being disappointing. That's what Marty Jannetty says about that. I see what you're saying. Yeah, and you're right. It wasn't the best match, but I can't also say it was a bad match either.
Mhm.
And I, for one, because I was really into this story, I liked it, and I kind of the way it ended, I was like, oh, that's why it ended the way it ended because this feud is not over. They're gonna have like another big match.
Mhm.
So I thought it was all
It would
right.
have
It
been
is
great
what
if
it
they
is.
did. They just never got to it.
Yeah, I'm still curious about that one orange sitting in the back, but that's I guess a story for another time.
Vince is orange.
We'll go to number. Yeah, he sexually harassed it, and he said,
He's trying to make.
yeah, he put a little doo-doo on it after. We go to match number 3. This is the returning Bam Bam Bigelow, who has returned to this company back in October, so a couple of months ago from this event, versus the Big Boss Man in a battle of the big men. I like this battle of the big men. Some people would even say it's a meat madness match.
Oh,
Bam Bam
that's hurt, Bill.
Meat madness. Bam Bam Bigelow, gets the jump on Big Boss Man from the beginning, but eventually Boss Man's able to turn the tide midway until Bammer body drops Boss Man over the top rope to the floor. If Bill Watts saw this, he would have flipped the table in disgust. How dare you guys
I'm
do
like,
this? Breaking the rules.
disqualify both men right now.
Yeah. You're never gonna, you ain't gonna sell, you ain't gonna draw a dime with that bullshit. Anyways, Bam Bam Bigelow, he beats on Boss Man's back, and Boss Man eventually fires back but it's not enough as Bam Bam Bigelow hits the flying headbutt for the win. What did you think? Match number three.
I thought it stunk. I didn't think it was very good at all. Boss Man looked like he didn't even want to be there. Bam Bam looked sluggish. It wasn't very good. I never really liked
Uh,
this match as a kid, and I still don't like it.
I thought it was okay. It was just like oh, it's like you know what it looked like? It was like Bam Bam Bigelow's back. Here's a little showcase match for him.
I
You
know,
know?
but I again, this is an example. I'm not as a kid. I'm not done with the Boss Man, and Vince is done, and he's telling me, "Oh, you're done with the Boss Man." It's that, and it's like, no, no, I'm not. Like, I want a few more years of this guy, and
I agree with that. This is definitely a match that said, I am done with the boss man. That's Junior saying it. And I agree. This is why this was his problem though. And this is his problem even up to like last year or when he was still around. It's like he always gets done too he loses interest in his toys really early, you know,
yeah,
much earlier than but there's a lot of people who have that problem. Tony Khan has the same problem.
yeah, yeah, and and the thing about it is like, and again, I think a lot of what's happening here is because of what's going on behind the scenes, steroids. There might have been some other things going on behind the scenes now that we know about all the sex trafficking. That also maybe Vince is like, I got to get rid of some guys and I'll make it work, or downplay some guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, we might find out there might be like some insane things that we never knew coming out. But what I'm saying, but what my thing is like he I'm happy with the show and with the roster and with the direction at the end of 91. And he just keeps like changing direction. And it almost felt like, and then telling me how much better these newer guys are in the new generation. And it's like, why? And they would have the old guys come on TV and be like, oh, yeah, it's time to pass the torch. We're so old. And I'm like, but they're not old. Like, I'm 12 years old. I'm looking back now. I'm 12 years old and I like these guys. And you can't convince me that they're for old people. Like they're for me. They're for me. You know what I'm saying? And it's
Yeah,
like,
no,
and you're
they're for
telling me
you.
that they all stink. I'm a kid. Like, what are you doing? And it was just like, it was really weird. And again, I think a lot of it had to do, the Hogan thing had to do with steroid trial. Like, he had to move away from Hogan because he didn't trust him. But at the same time, it's like, but you put yourself in that situation. And as a viewer, I'm not done with Hogan, and I'm not done with Savage. And
I, I like I said, I think this is like a problem a lot of promoters seem to have a lot because like Tony Khan basically has the same problem, and I'm like, I wonder why these guys get like this, you know?
well, I think
It's
Vince.
why
I
can't they
think
be more like Scott Demore and just like use the same guys over and over and
I do.
over and over again for years and years? Like Tommy Dreamer is still up on top of
Oh,
Scott
God.
Demore. Like,
I think I think Vince realized around 1990 that Hogan is the reason he is where he is, and Hogan's bigger than him in the company. And ever since WrestleMania 6, he's trying to stop that, which he did succeed because now people, dude, I saw people arguing on Twitter that the WWF machine would have made anyone into Hulk Hogan. And it's like they didn't have a machine. Hulk Hogan created the machine. They pattern everyone off of Hulk Hogan when they want to like make you a big deal. It's like they didn't have the, but now he got people to believe that I can do this for anyone. Like it doesn't matter who you are, what you bring to the table. And I think like he's been since 1990, he's been trying to downplay Hogan and guys like Hogan. And so that way, like I'm telling you right now, Yokozuna is great, but when I tell you Yokozuna sucks, Yokozuna sucks. You know?
yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Yeah,
Mhm.
man, one day when I speaking of Tommy Dreamer, you should tell that great Tommy Dreamer story of yours
I think I did tell it already. I
on this
did.
thing.
You weren't on the episode. When I
Oh,
with Kyle, we were talking about Halloween Havoc '89.
oh, okay.
Mhm.
Anyways, moving on, they show you footage from WrestleMania with Razor Ramon. Not WrestleMania, I forgot,
WrestleMania.
whatever. They show you Razor Ramon attacking Owen Hart.
Mhm.
Then of Razor Ramon cutting a promo about having gold on his finger, gold around his neck, gold around his waist. The
Here's
typical
the
things.
other. Here's the other
Yeah.
weird thing about this show. If you noticed, and they did this the last show, Mean Gene is not standing at like an official like background. He's standing like almost like he's a homeless guy, like in the like right where they come out when he does the interviews, and they
Was
don't
he
have that
was he
many.
standing in there with Bret Hart? Because he's
Yeah,
interviewing
it's
Bret
like
Hart.
it's like that's really the only thing he does on the show, Mean Gene.
Hmm.
So they're also trying to downplay Mean Gene. They're downplaying all these things that worked, and it's annoying me because it's like they're not doing the promos before the match, before the Rumble match. They don't do the opening video package. He's taking away a lot of things that work, and it's annoying.
Well, to be fair, it has been about like close to 10 years now, right?
Yeah,
So
but no,
he's
with 10 years of us watching the show, but there was no. It's not like he made Starcade '83.
okay, no, okay, not 10 years.
It's 8 years since WrestleMania 1.
Okay, 8 years. Okay, right. To be fair, it's been like about 8 years, right? Since
Mhm.
WrestleMania, right? So maybe he's starting to go like, man, I gotta change this up a little bit. Like this is
Yeah, but the changes like aren't that
yeah,
good.
I know they obviously didn't work, but I'm just trying to like pick his brain and see like why he was so
Yeah,
hell
but I
bent
also think he
on
was done
making
with
this.
Mean Gene.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the way he presents Mean Gene, he totally takes away Mean Gene's aura, and he's doing it on purpose. He's doing it on
Yeah,
purpose.
yeah, I could see that. I could totally
Mhm.
see that. You know, it could also be because like he's like, the longer these guys are with him, he's got to keep giving him raises,
Yeah,
right? And he's just like,
that would happen with Mean Gene. He
yeah,
didn't
I
want
was
to
like, I
pay
don't
him.
want to keep paying this fucking guy. I could just get somebody else to do this. Phase this motherfucker out, right?
Mhm.
And get somebody else. Get the fucking Kevin Patrick in there and fucking pay him
Dude,
pay him what I was paying Mean Gene the first year one.
if he didn't do Tyson Austin, if he didn't do it exactly the time he did it, I don't know what would have happened because I don't know without Austin if he could have got me back.
Yeah,
And I know a lot of
absolutely.
people like me like that. And then Rock, luckily The Rock was right there too. Now, I didn't expect The Rock to become The Rock when I started rewatching. Dude, like he's so lucky, dude, because he turned me off so fucking bad. I was like, I'm never gonna stop watching wrestling to being embarrassed to watching wrestling due to all the things he did in this era.
I mean, he kind of got close to that again a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
You know what saved it though is AEW.
Yeah.
AEW
AEW.
saved it. It made it better. It made every.
No,
It made
Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes saved them.
yeah, and it got me more. It got me AEW's got me what it's what really got me back interested into like American wrestling like real hard, and I was like, so. Anyways, Mean Gene. Speaking of, he is with Bret
He's
Hart
interviewing
and
Bret.
talking about how personal this is, and Bret Hart's like, you mess with my family. You don't ever mess with my family. And I like this. They're already the beginnings of them
I
planning to see that Bret and Owen
watching
are
this
brothers.
match, I was like, this is they're already starting to build to WrestleMania 10 with
Yeah,
this.
exactly. Because they before this, I don't recall them ever like mentioning that these guys were brothers.
Yeah.
You know,
Hmm.
um, this is when Owen Hart was still in one of my favorite tag teams, High Energy with Coco Beware. So we're gonna go to match number 4. This is for the WWF Heavyweight Championship. Razor Ramon versus the champion Bret Hart, and they show Bret's parents Stu and Helen Hart there at ringside. There's a huge pink sign. It says, "It takes excellence, not machismo." And when I was a kid, I did not know what machismo meant or what it was, but I still don't really know what it is.
It's being macho. He just
uh,
oozes the quantities that make you macho.
it's the stuff that comes out of your pee pee.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Into women.
Bret Hart,
Women's holes.
Bret Hart in this match, he's working on Razor Ramon's legs, and he has the advantage to start until Razor Ramon sends him rib first into the post. Razor Ramon then works on Bret's ribs, and Bret tries to fire back, but each time Razor Ramon regains his dominance. Like for example, like Bret Hart will reverse an abdominal stretch, but then Razor Ramon just throws him right off. Bret Hart will like hit like a sunset flip, and then Razor will just sit down for the cover. Things like that, where Razor just keeps getting the advantage back. Razor puts on a bear hug, and then Bret Hart bites him to get out of it, and then body drops Razor over the top, and suicide dives onto him to regain control. After the couple of moves of doom, Bret Hart gets the sharpshooter on, but Razor pulls Earl Hebner into Bret to break it up. And then Razor perches Bret on the top rope, but then Bret flips over Razor's back and then back suplexes him, but then jumps into a big boot and Razor calls for the end. But Bret slides out of the Razor's edge. And this part, that was like a fantastic sequence, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bret puts on this unique cover, but Razor Ramon kicks out of it. And then Bret puts on the sharpshooter when they're both laying on the mat, turns
Mm-hmm.
it into a sharpshooter, and then Razor like has to submit. Great, fantastic match. Another Bret Hart classic. What did you think?
Great match, probably Razor Ramon's best match besides the ladder match, the two ladder matches with Shawn Michaels. Dude, I was thinking to myself how short Razor Ramon's prime was because he's not really that good in WCW. And then suddenly, when he becomes Razor Ramon, he becomes fucking incredible. And then, like, by 97, he just falls apart as a worker and he's never the same. And it's like, he, like, literally had, like, let's say September of 92, 93, 94, 95. He had like 4 years where he was just so good and then it completely collapsed. But he wasn't that good before those 4 years. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy, like, this how good this guy got and then how fast he fell apart.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe he got like when he leaves, he's just like not in the best physical condition.
Well, also, he knew he could coast in WCW.
Yeah, that's true too. That
He
is
knew
true
he could
too.
coast, and Vince wouldn't let him coast. So
Yeah,
I mean, he could coast, but he would have became like fucking
yeah.
Freddie Joe
And
Ford.
also, like when he's in WWF at this point, he's working with guys like Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. You
And I
know?
think I think probably at this point, if you asked him, he'd probably be like, "I'm probably gonna get the world title like before the end of the year or something." I bet you he thought I'm getting the world title before like 95.
Yeah.
And I
And you
think they
know,
should have get honestly, I do think they should have gave him the world title. I think if he had gotten the push that Lex got, I think things would have been very different.
yeah, you're probably right. Speaking of Lex, Bobby Heenan, he leaves the booth and he unveils the narcissist Lex Luger. A curtain goes up, and there's Lex Luger kneeling down with his back to the audience with a cape on. And he stands up in front of three mirrors. And then he unveils his body and they do close up of his poses. And Bobby Heenan asks him about Perfect. And Lex Luger says he'll be the most dominant force in WWF and says he's beyond perfection and asks if Mr. Perfect has the guts to take the challenge. What did you think about the narcissist Lex Luger's debut?
As a kid, I loved it because I thought that Bobby Heenan was building a heel faction with Flair and Lex, right? But as we know, Ric Flair leaves the next day. But I didn't realize he left until like a few weeks later. So
Yeah.
I thought, oh, Lex and Ric Flair are gonna work together. This is great. Like, well, maybe imagine like the Steiners turn heel, and then it's like Flair leading like Lex and the Steiners. Like, I thought that'd be great, but it doesn't work out like that. And as a kid, I liked the Narcissist more than All American Lex, the All American shit. But watching it now, I don't know. There's something missing from him. They do this big over top presentation for him, but it's not what it was in WCW. There was just something missing. Bobby Heenan's going a little bit too overboard. They don't have good chemistry. I don't know. It felt weird. I think if Rick had stayed, I think that the two of them together would have been fucking awesome. But I don't know. It felt like something was missing. Even watching it now, even Lex felt very forced. The promo went too long. He was pausing to do this awkward, like, I'm an evil person laugh. You know? I thought it
No,
was
I
like
agree. I think this is I
it was very late.
whenever they do debuts like this, I'm like, why? Why are you doing a debut like this? You know, like it's weird. Just have him debut with a match. Like you don't, like
Or
don't do this weird fucking thing where he's just like, I just think it's
or what if this like it's Lex and I mean it's Flair and Perfect in the ring, right? They're in the Rumble. And then the clock hits zero and Bobby Heenan grabs the mic and he's like, Perfect. You think you're gonna get rid of Flair? We brought backup. And then Lex Luger walks out. Like you don't tell and then
yeah,
him and Flair eliminate Perfect. And then
yeah,
the next night, if you want to have Ric Flair lose in a few weeks and leave, that's fine. But it's like that would have been like, oh fuck, like oh shit, Lex is now gonna wrestle because we know he's in the WBF and he's with Flair and Bobby Heenan. Like maybe they're gonna do a Four Horsemen thing and they're gonna go. And it would have been great because like, oh, you want to betray me? I have a better backup. I called in Lex.
Yeah, like I agree. Like if you're not gonna do a debut with a wrestling match, this is wrestling. You need to have a. I think you should have somebody debut with some kind of physical action, like Ty
Mhm.
Dillinger, for example. Like yeah, hit somebody with a chair.
Yeah.
At least do that. But Lex in this thing, he's just posing. It's so dumb.
I
Like
think Vince thought, and I could tell by the way that Vince gave Bobby Heenan all those lines.
yeah,
It
I could
didn't sound like
tell.
anything Bobby Heenan would ever say. It sounded like I think Vince is attracted, by the way, to muscular men. I don't
Yeah,
I think he is, and vascularity and all that stuff. And I think this is all because Bobby Heenan sounds like he's about to jerk off to this guy.
yeah.
And
When
I
in
think
actuality, Vince probably jerked off to this
I
guy.
think Vince thought going on and on about how hot this guy is and how sexy his muscles are is going to put him over huge. And I look as a kid, I was excited because I kind of thought, oh, the narcissist, that's kind of a cool gimmick. But I wasn't watching. But I would have watched. I don't know. I don't know. It's already like out of the gate, and I think Vince is the reason why Lex got fucked up. I don't think it was. I think WCW fucked him up a lot, but the way Vince books this guy in the next few years, I think that's what kind of damned his legacy. I think Vince really fucks this guy up.
I think Junior fucked a lot of people, and
I wanted
then
to fuck him.
some of them he also took a shit on.
Yeah, he take yeah.
All right,
But
so we're
then
gonna.
like
Yep.
yeah. So I wouldn't have had this. You know what I would have had? I would have had fucking promos from everybody. I would have done this on Superstars. You can get away with this on Superstars or Primetime Wrestling or even Raw. How about you kick off Raw with his debut like this? That would have been a
Yeah,
great.
you're right. You're absolutely right. You could get away with this on Superstars or something like that. Yeah,
Mm.
or
By the
Raw.
way, Raw is only one episode in as of this pay per view.
Oh, so as of now, we're one episode in Raw. Okay.
We're in the Raw era.
All right. So we're gonna get to our main event. We have Caesar and a black Cleopatra come out to the ring.
Uh,
All of Egypt lost their shit because they were like, a black Cleopatra? She's not black.
uh,
Caesar reads from a scroll as people start booing him. And he says he's from Caesar's Palace, Las Vegas. And he invites everyone to WrestleMania 9 on April 4th, 1993, and says the winner of the Royal Rumble will meet the champion at WrestleMania. And this is the first time this is going to be set. That is now going to be tradition that we do even to this day. That's right. All thanks to Caesar. That's right. You guys are wondering where this idea came from.
it
Now
was
you know.
Caesar. It was Julius Caesar who came up.
Yeah, it was
This was
his
such a
idea.
lame. This was such a lame way to kick off the match.
You know what I was thinking the whole time when I was watching this? I was like, man,
Vince thinks this is great. He thinks.
yeah, like, can you imagine you're like an actor and you're just like in that area and they're just like, you're just like trying to find work and they're like, hey, you just come in front of this audience, you're gonna read this, and you're just
Well, I
like,
think he worked for the casino. I think he worked for Caesar's Palace. These people.
these people actually. So he flew in. This is
Yeah.
Sacramento, California. He flew in probably two people from actual Caesar's Palace to do this. I don't.
Yeah, I think
You're in
back in the day
Sacramento.
they
You
had
can't
like
find two actors.
no, I think Caesar's had approved Caesar.
Oh, geez, that's even funnier.
So it's it
Man.
would I mean like well Mickey I mean they have Walt Disney World has a girl playing like Aladdin and Jasmine has actors. I mean, so if you're like gonna do a thing and you want why not have the girl? Okay, we'll just bring you the girl that plays Jasmine at the park to do this.
Okay, that's probably true.
Yeah.
But anyways, regardless, we have Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas to thank for the tradition of the winner of the Royal Rumble going
Did you
to
notice?
WrestleMania.
Did you notice Girl Monsoon kept saying that it's family friendly now? It's family friendly. They
Oh, Las Vegas.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
think that they booked. I think Caesar's wanted more eyes on them, and I think Vince said, "Oh yeah, I'm a fan." I think that was when they were trying to push people to bring their families to Vegas more because people weren't bringing families.
No, they weren't.
Part
Yeah.
of that initiative. I still think it's a bad idea to bring your family to Vegas unless you're all
Yeah,
like,
I think it's still a terrible idea. If you bring your family to Vegas, something maybe not right with you.
yeah. But people do it, so yeah. This
Mhm.
was, I think, it's part of it. Like, we need to get families to Vegas. I think because that's also this is the year they started doing that with Times Square too. Like, oh, this is actually a great area for families, and it worked. Times Square, you see families all the time. So,
Yeah,
but I noticed that Gorilla Monsoon kept saying that it's the
yeah.
new destination for families. Really, you're
Mhm.
gonna be the degenerate fucking gambler in the casino, Gorilla?
Yeah. Hey, why are those women standing out there, Dad? Um, Gorilla Monsoon, he tells us that each wrestler has picked a number earlier, and Bobby Heenan still has a boner for Lex Luger. He can't stop talking about Lex Luger. We're gonna go to the fifth match, the Royal Rumble. Ric Flair comes out first, and then Bob Backlund comes out second to some boos. He's only 43 at this Rumble. I thought he was fucking much. Dude, I thought he was like 50 something when I was watching this,
Mhm.
when I knew this as a kid. And
But they act like
Bob,
he's a senior citizen. Before they act on commentary like he's some old man who has like.
yeah, yeah, but he's only 43. That means like he's like legit like just 2 years older than me right now, right? But
He's my
they
age.
yeah, they act like he's so old, but when he's in the ring and he went and the funny part is when he's in the ring, he's like so over animated. He's like jumping around and he's like moving like Oscar in a way. You know,
Well,
like
'cause
how
I think he's
Oscar
got
moves in the ring.
something. I think he's got something to prove because he's like they moved away so far from his era. They acted like as soon as Hogan got the belt, they acted like the Bob Backlund era was like fucking ancient history. And
Yeah,
him, like, dude, you're being told like you're like this forgotten, you're like this like fucking 1920s era when you're only like in your 40s. I think he's back with like, no, I'm gonna prove to you that I can wrestle just as good as everybody on this show.
yeah.
Mhm.
And I believe in the they did mention that he was away from the business for like 7, 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
he got really upset the way they kind of like threw him aside and he just walked away.
yeah, and he just kind of walked away. Yeah, so he's been away himself. He's been away for about 7, 8 years. So I'm
Mhm.
gonna go through everything, all the events that happened in this Rumble. You feel free to cut in anytime you want. Okay. All right. So Papa Shango, he comes in third, and Ric Flair fucking throws him out right away.
The
Why?
one thing the one thing about this match that I noticed is that Heenan Heenan tries a little bit to do the Flair gimmick like he did the year before, and you could tell like he's I don't know, he doesn't put the heart into it like he did the year before. He and that kind of like the way they treat Ric Flair from last year to this year is like they don't treat him like a big deal at all. Like and Bobby Heenan tries and then he just loses interest, starts like commentating on the match regularly.
I guess, but like, I mean, Ric Flair wasn't. He wasn't in this like. He
Well,
wasn't like Papa Shango getting thrown out right away.
no, I
You
know, but
know?
like it's still like I don't know. It doesn't feel like can this guy repeat it? It just I don't know. It's just I don't I get
Yeah.
the way they're done with so many people who are still over is like kind of like wow, you were really fucking stupid. But anyway.
Yeah, but I also think like maybe like Ric Flair, they already kind of knew Ric Flair wanted to leave by this point.
Well,
So
Yeah,
it's
Ric Flair was leaving, but Vince told
yeah,
him to leave. I think that was stupid. I would have kept Flair.
yeah. It's really interesting because last WrestleMania, which is at this point less than a year ago, Papa Shango's like interfering in the main event. Here he
Mhm.
is coming in third, getting thrown out right away.
Yeah,
You know?
and I don't get that either because Papa Shango was a great gimmick, and
Yeah,
Vince gives up on it around here, and I just don't understand. Why would you? I just there's so many things he does I just don't understand.
yeah. It's Vince McMahon. I don't understand why he likes taking doo doos on people's heads, but hey, that's what he likes. DiBiase comes in fourth, and they start double teaming Bob Backlund. When Brian Knobs and the Nasty Boys, he comes in fifth, and he gives Ted DiBiase a pit stop. The black nerd Virgil comes in sixth to a nice pop. He actually got a really good pop. I was surprised because remember, it's been when he turns on Ted DiBiase is Royal Rumble 1991. So this has been like 2 years. 2 years
Yeah,
of them trying to.
but yeah, but people still like, especially because him and DiBiase go back and forth. People still want to see him get
Yeah, even though Junior turned this guy into a jobber, when he comes out, people pop for him, and when he goes right at DiBiase, the crowd still fucking loves it, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, Virgil's there, and while Ted DiBiase is on the ropes, Brian Knobbs runs right at him, but then he goes right over the top rope for the second elimination of the night. Jerry Lawler comes in seventh, and he goes toe to toe with Ric Flair, who has to leave the ring, takes a powder because Lawler is too much for him, which I thought was weird because they're both bad guys, but whatever. Everybody,
Yeah, I think they probably just went in the business for themselves because they probably like wanted to wrestle each other because of,
yeah, yeah, and you're gonna see that a lot here.
yeah.
Max Moon is number 8, and then as soon as he comes in, Flair pokes him in the eyes, which I thought was fucking great.
Mhm.
This is a fun pairing, Max Moon and Ric Flair. And then
Like Paul
Max Moon,
Diamond from the Orient Express.
yeah, and then Max Moon, he turns his attention to tax Jerry the King Lawler in the corner. But then when he does, he goes for a spinning heel kick, and then Lawler ducks, and then Max Moon basically goes flying over the top for the third elimination.
Mhm.
But it gets no reaction, and commentators will not actually even mention it, I think, because they're all looking to see who's coming in next, which is Jinichiro Tenryu from Japan coming in at ninth, who also comes in with no reaction.
Yeah,
Nobody
because
knows
they
who
don't tell
he is.
you this is when Vince tried that AEW WCW thing where they just bring you someone from overseas and
Mhm.
they have and then the crowd just doesn't give a shit. Max Moon's another gimmick that they started and they gave up on right away, and it's just like, well, then why even do Max Moon if you don't even give a shit about him?
Yeah, I mean that's Junior.
Mhm,
Too much cocaine.
mhm. Too much poop.
Anyway, when I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Too much poop.
Yeah, too much poop. Cocaine does make you want to poop.
Mhm,
Anyways, Tenru comes in and he goes right up to Ric Flair and they start trading chops. And
mhm.
then Flair flops for him. And then this when I started read. I don't know if you guys notice a pattern. Every new entry, they all want to start with Ric Flair.
Yeah, because they
Okay.
want to say they worked with him. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They all go right to Ric Flair. Mr. Perfect comes in 10th to a huge ovation, and he goes right for Ric Flair. Ric Flair eye pokes this guy 3 times.
3 times.
Yeah,
And his
3 times
eyeballs
in the
still work.
fucking eye. They announced Mr. Perfect and Ric Flair are gonna be having a loser leaves match on Monday Night Raw.
Loser leaves
During
town. Loser leaves town.
loser leaves town match, yeah. During the Monday Night Raw, that there's coming up. Skinner, he's still in his company. He comes in 11th, and then Mr. Perfect eliminates Ric Flair, and uh, and then Ric Flair gets eliminated. Coco Beware comes out looking like a fucking clown for the 12th spot. Yeah, so Ric Flair gets eliminated fourth, but he was in there for a bit. But actually, like I think this because, like you said, like they already knew Ric Flair was leaving. So like,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do if he's leaving? You gonna let him be in the final four? You gotta fucking get rid of him.
I know, but like I know he's leaving, but again, this is all because of Vince. Vince told him to leave, and it's like, um, I just you're downplaying so many guys who can still make you money. It's just so weird to me.
Yeah, Mr. Perfect drop kicks Skinner out fifth, and
Did you
then
see, by the way?
Samu.
Did you
Yes,
see how many people did and they treated like a big deal in '95 to skin the cat where they're like hanging on the rope and then they pull themselves back in the rings? Because Skinner does that. And they act
yes.
like it doesn't mean anything. They're like they don't acknowledge it. But when Shawn does it in '95, they treat it like one of the greatest moments in wrestling history.
Yeah, but then just I maybe it's because Skinner gets eliminated right afterwards. That's why.
I know, but still, like that, like just the fact that so many people are doing it. This is the first year I noticed people are doing that. They're doing that
Yeah.
spot.
Uh-huh.
No one did that before. So
Mhm. Samu gets dragged out by Alpha for the 13th spot. Then Berserker is 14th.
bloodline.
And then Jerry the King Lawler gets body dropped out 6th by Mr. Perfect for his third elimination.
Mhm.
But then DiBiase throws Perfect. Right as soon as Mr. Perfect throws the King out, DiBiase throws Mr. Perfect over the top. And Mr. Perfect starts teetering on the apron as Coco Beware and DiBiase both are trying to push this guy out. And while everyone is focusing on Mr. Perfect, you actually see in the background Berserker Big Boots Virgil out for the 7th elimination. So bye
Mm.
bye, Virgil.
See you later.
Um, while that's happening, Mr. Perfect is still teetering on the apron when all of a sudden Jerry the King Lawler comes over, who's already been eliminated. He comes over and he starts grabbing and yanking on Mr. Perfect. So the combination of DiBiase and Coco Beware pushing Mr. Perfect out with their legs and Jerry Lawler pulling him out gets Mr. Perfect eliminated 8. And
See, to
then,
me, like that's crazy too to eliminate Mr. Perfect so early. He's a hot baby face. He's one of your few guys that's over, and then you have him get eliminated. And people he's not even feuding with.
yeah, yeah. And Lawler and Mr. Perfect, they're going to keep fighting outside as Gorilla Monsoon does acknowledge that Virgil got eliminated. Now, was this going to be like a match that's going to happen?
Maybe
Lawler
they were going to
versus
make it a
Perfect?
match, which is why they did that. And
Mm-hmm.
but he already established that he's going to feud with Lex next, and he's got Ric Flair. I don't know. It just seemed like stupid. It just seemed stupid.
Yeah.
I honestly I would have had Flair eliminate him, and then have
Mr.
someone else.
Perfect?
Yeah, then have somebody else eliminate Ric Flair. That doesn't count. Like fucking have Tatanka throw him out. I don't know.
Tonka.
At least you give
Well,
Tatanka a little shine.
yeah, that's true. So Undertaker comes out 15 with Paul Bear, and while he's coming out, Jerry Lawler, who's been eliminated, he's walking the back, and he almost fucking runs into Miss Undertaker. I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
Bob Backlund and Berserker, they decide to go outside the ring, not eliminated, just they roll outside under the ropes, and they go outside, and Berserker hits Bob Backlund with the chair. While that's happening, Undertaker comes in, he choke slams fucking Samu out of the ring for the 9th elimination as Berserker.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's a dangerous elimination too. Just getting choke slammed over the top rope. Yikes.
Because he didn't acknowledge
Wow.
Chief.
Yeah, and while this is happening, Berserker, he's on the outside. He pulls the mats back to expose the concrete, and he slams Bob Blackland down on the
Blackland,
concrete. Bob,
my brother.
he slams him on the concrete, which probably brought a smile to Bill Watts' face. Right?
It's like
And
finally.
yeah, while this is happening, Undertaker body drops Jinichiro Tenryu out 10 elimination.
Mhm.
Then coming in at 16th, it's Terry Taylor. That's right.
He's back.
Straight from WCW. He's back. And he's also the third man in fucking plain red tights. That's like third guy in these fucking red tights. And then DiBiase takes out both Coco Beware and Terry Taylor for the 11th and 12th elimination. So he also gets the Papa Shango treatment,
Just
by the way.
absolutely no star power in this match, bro. Absolutely none.
Um, it's not, but it's still fun to watch because I just like the Rumble, man. It's just fun to watch.
Let me get into this one. But keep
Coco Beware and Terry Taylor, they keep fighting outside as Team Ted DiBiase, right after he eliminates both of them, he walks right into an Undertaker chokeslam, and then he gets eliminated 13th by the Undertaker.
good. Yeah,
Um,
it's DiBiase.
while Berserker starts working on Undertaker in the ring, Harvey Whippleman brings out Giant Gonzalez for his debut.
Oh.
Taker body slams Berserker out 14th
Mhm.
as the Giant comes into the ring. Remember, Giant Gonzalez is not actually an entry in the
No,
Royal
he's
Rumble.
just coming
He
for
just
revenge.
he just comes here and he gets into the ring, and the Giant Gonzalez and Undertaker are just standing there. They just stand there and they just start looking at each other. And for a while, and Undertaker takes a step forward, and like nothing happens for a while. And then finally, the Giant he chops Undertaker out for the 15th elimination. Damian Demento comes in 17th and he just waits in the aisle, not getting into the ring as the Giant Gonzalez keeps beating on Undertaker on ringside. And Gorilla Monsoon says, "This is Harvey Whippleman's revenge for what Undertaker did to Kamala." And I was like, "Hey, good continuity there."
Mhm.
And the Giant Gonzalez, he choke slams Undertaker back in the ring as IRS comes out 18. And what do you
This
call
goes
it?
on and on and
Before we move on, let's talk up a little bit about Giant Gonzalez, shall we? Because I feel like you want
on.
something to say something about.
Yeah, I mean, he was awful in WCW, and Vince signed him again based on size. Another guy he takes from WCW that shows up on this show, and this beatdown goes on and on and on, and it just kills the match dead for me. I don't know about you, but it just went on.
Um,
He's
it's
not good at it.
Yeah, he like
And the bodysuit looks so
the
everything about
bodysuit.
this.
Okay, okay. Here's probably an unpopular take. I like that bodysuit.
I like it on a figure.
Yeah, I mean, even when I was a kid,
Mhm.
I knew like because some of the older kids would tell me how stupid it was. I secretly thought it was still kind of cool looking. You know?
Um, the problem, I just, it's just he's not. It feels. You know what? This is the first. I mean, then Paul Bearer comes out and just says over and over again, "The power of the urn, the power of the urn." Right? It felt very much like he lost his touch. Like it felt like this guy's losing. Like the power of the urn. Like you tell, like they're just making up gibberish because they think we're all idiots. And
Yeah.
I don't know. It just this beatdown kind of like just kills the match for me. And I remember as a kid being like, well, maybe this guy is good that Vince signed him. And then you're like, why Vince signed this guy just because of his size? Because he had a fetish for like big guys.
Well, I will say this. So far, I get it. Like knowing what we know, like oh, this guy stinks and everything. But if you're just watching this, it's kind of interesting because you're getting all this like weird shit happening. You
Well,
know,
also
so
this
it's
is the first
kind
time
of
Undertaker's getting destroyed. He
yeah.
hasn't
And
been
so if
destroyed yet.
you're watching this from like a
Mhm.
different perspective where you don't really know all these things. You don't know that Giant Gonzalez sucks. Even if you're watching for the first time, you just saw the Undertaker come in, who's a scary looking guy compared to everybody else, and he eliminated like four people right away. And all of a sudden, this giant dude comes out in a hairy bodysuit, and he starts just like dismantling this guy. This you gotta admit, this is kind of exciting, right?
Yeah.
It's just like what the fuck is going on. So that's how I'm looking at it. It's just like, oh, I don't know just based on this how shitty Giant Gonzalez is.
Well,
All
I
I know
mean,
is that
if you watched WCW, you know. Yeah.
no, that's what I'm saying. If you didn't watch that stuff, you're just watching this, you're like, oh, this is kind of interesting. You can't tell from this moment in the Royal Rumble that he's not a good wrestler. You just think he's just fucking scary. And he took out the biggest guy. That's how I'm looking at it. But anyways, after he choke slams Undertaker in the ring and works on his leg on the post, he leaves. Damien Demento and IRS, they start attacking Bob Backlund, who is still selling that concrete slam he took, which probably made Bill Watts go like, "Yeah, that's good wrestling. That's good wrestling." There, see, he's still selling that concrete uh, of slam. Tatanka comes in 19, and then right after Tatanka comes out, Paul Bearer comes back from eating his cake, and he uses the urn to rise the
Power of
Undertaker.
the urn, the power of the urn.
Yeah, and then Undertaker limps his way out. Jerry Jerry Sags of the Nasty Boys, he comes in 20th. Typhoon of the Natural Disasters is 21st. And then Alpha drags out the other head shrinker, Fatu, for the 22nd spot, but he slaps him around before he sends him into the ring, which I thought was kind of fun. Earthquake is 23.
This is his last
And
appearance for a while.
right away, he attacks his tag team partner Typhoon, and they go right at it. And Earthquake eliminates his tag team partner Typhoon for the 16th elimination.
Did
That
you
was
hear
kind of weird.
Bobby Heenan call him Tugboat, and then the Tugboat, Typhoon, Tugfoon, whatever?
Yeah. uh, then coming out 24th, Ray Goose's favorite wrestler, Carlos Colon.
Ugh. And
Fully
the running joke is that Gorilla Monsoon calls him a youngster when he comes out and he looks like he's 82 years old. Did you hear? A bright future for this youngster.
why was Carlos Colon in this?
So the rumor was that Gorilla Monsoon owned a piece of Puerto Rico.
Oh yeah.
So they gave him but I think Vince was trying different things, so he gave the top guy in Puerto Rico one of the top guys in Japan spots in this because he knew that he might need allies sooner than later. He knew it was
Yeah.
time to like change things up, so I think that's why these two guys get in the match.
But if you're gonna do that, like, shouldn't you give him like a better spot? Like,
I think his rationale is any spot's a good spot. Like, I'm so where have you been? Where have you been on regular like any you're in this match, so it's a good spot. You're in the main event.
yeah, or maybe he even like I'm gonna put you in the Rumble. You're gonna get eliminated really fast, but you know what? I'm gonna give you a good payday. You
Yeah, I
know?
mean, Bianca Belair made Jordan Grace look stupid, but she was still in the match, and people now want to see more of her. So like, it was worth it.
Oh yeah, but this is different than like Janichiro Otero because she was actually in there for a very long time. And this, I mean, like Carlos is gonna he's gonna be in there for like a cup of coffee. You know?
He shouldn't even be in there. I mean, if I was Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and they're like, "Wait, I don't get to wrestle on this show, but this guy does," give
Yeah,
me a
I know.
fucking break. All I do is like, are you kidding me? Hacksaw had to sit out for this guy. Ugh. Because Vince like probably like, I need you to get the Puerto Rican mafia to murder some women I raped or something.
Yeah. To to be fair to Carlos Colon, he does take out Damian Demento 17, so he does get like one elimination at least. So there is
So
that.
you saw Court Bauer won 20 million yesterday from WWE.
Yes, supposedly
People
he won 20 million from the lawsuit, the MLW lawsuit against WWE.
people don't people have a theory that's not because like he was in the right. People have a theory that he knows things. And WWE was like, we're just gonna pay him to be quiet.
Yeah, no. So what is like if it actually keeps going, all this information has to come out through Discover, right?
Mhm.
And there's a lot of information that WWE does not want out there publicly. So so they don't want it to go to court. Doesn't It's not about whether they win or lose. They don't want the trial to happen. That's basically the
Yeah.
point. So they paid this guy, listen, we'll give you this if you just like stop suing us. Like you just drop this. And I I'm pretty sure that's also like what court probably knew. Yeah. And
Yeah.
but
So
he probably like with his lawyer fees and everything, he's probably walking away with at least 19 million, right?
still better than yeah. So like
Mm-hmm.
so you know what the other thing too is you have to look through everything now that we're watching through like maybe there's a different reason why Carlos Colon is there. Like maybe Vince needed his help with something or there's a deal in place. Like you have to like there's so much weird shit that we don't know about. You have to look through a lot of these weird decisions like well maybe Vince was like I need you to make this woman disappear and he's like okay put me in the rumble. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, no, you're probably right. That's possible.
Yeah, you have
I
to look at
do
like
like
these
your
things like oh this
theory.
doesn't make sense. There might be
Yeah,
another
I do like your theory that him going like, "Hey, I need allies too," because it does make sense too. You know, because at this point, you're right. This is like where WWF is really starting to. This is like the shakiest time period they've
and he
ever
might
had.
have to go to he might be going to prison
Yeah,
and shit.
exactly. He might be going to jail. The '90s is not a good period for WWF, right? There's a possibly going to jail, possibly going out of business. It isn't until they're out of the 1990s that things are okay, you know?
Well, that
So
98 is when things become good again.
yeah. Like, but like near basically like yeah, at the end of the 1990s, you know? So yeah, that's possibility. But anyways, it makes for an interesting rumble, I guess.
For
Tito
somebody.
Santana, El Matador, he is 25th. And
Mhm.
Bob Backlund takes out Fatu for the 18th elimination.
Old school
Uh
WWF right there.
yeah, Bobby
Backlund and the
Heenan keeps
Samoans.
yeah, Bobby Heenan keeps saying that he threw himself out. That's I don't know. It's funny. Doesn't want to
Mhm.
give him credit. Rick Martel is 16, and Undertaker, he drops down, and fucking IRS goes flying over him for the 19th elimination. The man on your shirt, Yokozuna, it is 27. Let me see that shirt. It's red. What does it look like? Yokozuna. That's a cool shirt, man. It's
Yeah,
badass.
it's meant to be like an old school like profile.
Yeah,
I like this is one of my favorite shirts actually.
yeah. It's
Mm-hmm.
pretty cool.
There's all his
Uh,
stats.
Yeah, Yokozuna, he is out 27th, and right away he fucking tosses Tatanka out 20th. Then he tosses Carlos Colon back to Puerto Rico for the 21st elimination. And then
That
he
poor
sees,
youngster.
yeah, that poor youngster never had a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Then he sees the earthquake, who points right at him, and they face off. And you know what? They could have worked. You know what they should have done, and I don't know why they didn't do this. Earthquake legit has a sumo background.
Oh, they do that
They don't mention it.
in '94.
Oh, but they don't mention it here when these guys are facing off.
Oh no, but they do have a sumo match after WrestleMania 10.
Yeah, but I meant like right here when these guys
Oh
are
yeah.
facing off. You're
Because
like
well because you don't
Yokozuna is
exist.
yeah, Yokozuna is a sumo character, and then you got this guy facing who's equally who's a big guy himself. They should have been like, did you guys know like Earthquake is a former sumo wrestler? That would have been fucking a dope thing to add, but they don't mention it.
Because remember, that's not Earthquake character's background though. He was a guy in the audience that Dino Bravo recruited. You're not supposed to know. In WWE lore, you're not supposed to know he's a sumo wrestler.
I guess, but I don't.
I
I
mean,
wouldn't.
that's like also like they could say Razor Ramon was an AWA tag champ. That in WWE lore that didn't exist. He was in Streets of Miami.
I mean, you could be a former sumo guy who still happens to be in the audience.
I mean, they do something with it a year later, so it's a move. And
Yeah,
also, Earthquake was leaving, so
yeah.
yeah.
So Owen Hart, he runs in 28th while the two big boys are just like facing off. And Yokozuna does a terrible over the top rope belly to belly to take out Undertaker. Earthquake 22nd. It
Yeah,
was the
Earthquake.
worst. It was terrible belly to belly, but I get it. They're both
Because
fat guys.
again,
They're
like
fat guys.
I'm not done with Earthquake, and this company's done with Earthquake, and I'm like, wow, Jesus. All right.
I was hoping they were gonna do an Earthquake versus Typhoon feud because he eliminated his tag team partner and everything, but they never do
They
it,
turn
right?
so Typhoon sticks around and he becomes a jobber until he goes
Mm-hmm.
becomes Shockmaster. And then he comes back and he's a jobber for a little bit more, than he retires. So that's it
Yeah,
for Typhoon as any type of threat.
but they should have done an Earthquake versus Typhoon. That would have been cool.
Well, they did do it in '90 when he was Tugboat. So
No, no, I meant like Earthquake versus Typhoon. No
I know.
fucking
Well,
Typhoon. No, no fucking silly little hat.
Vince was done. Vince was done with these two fat asses too. So
Yeah. The Repo Man, he comes out 29, and Gorilla Monsoon thinks he's the last one, but he's not. Everyone tries to gang up on taking out Yokozuna, which makes sense. He's big fat fuck, and everybody has to try to how you gonna eliminate him by himself. But Yokozuna is able to fight them all off. Randy Savage in full neon rodeo clown gear is 30th. God, I hate this gear. Did you
but dude, let
understand
me tell you something.
how charismatic Randy Savage has to be to come out in that gear and not get booed?
Dude, let me
Like,
tell you something. He gets the biggest pop of the night so far. The
yeah,
crowd goes ballistic for
I still love Savage, and I still can't believe some of the shit he used to wear. It's
him.
so funny. Yokozuna tosses out Tito Santana for the 23rd elimination. Owen Hart drop kicks Jerry Sags out for the 24th elimination. But then Yokozuna tosses his future tag team partner Owen Hart out for the 25th elimination. But he eliminates him hard as Owen Hart fucking lands right on his left knee on the outside. It looked bad. Randy Savage tosses out the Repo Man for the 26th elimination, leaving our final four to be Yokozuna, Randy Savage, Rick Martel, and Bob Backlund, who is still in this Rumble. Remember, Bob Backlund came out second. Bob Backlund punches Rick Martel out for the 27th elimination, and this was to his credit. Actually, I don't know if he's the one who booked this because it could have been Pat Patterson, but whoever booked this deserves a fucking trophy because keeping Bob Backlund in so long really helped get the crowd behind him. Remember, they were booing this fucker in the beginning of the Rumble. By this point, people are like just cheering this guy on, going like,
Well,
"Yes,
you
Bob
you
Backlund."
you did so much damage to the best move they did was rehabilitating Bob Backlund in this match because you did so much damage to his reputation and made him look like a fossil that you had to do something like this. And it was it was great that they did it for him because if you're gonna resign him, you're gonna reintroduce him. You gotta. I mean, I don't think Roman Reigns has beaten his record yet. That's how long he was champ.
Yeah. Bob Backlund was a champ for a very, very long time.
Yeah,
But
and like you immediately imagine if Roman Reigns loses tomorrow and then the company goes out of the way to portray him like an idiot. You know?
yeah, but like just to say like the fact that like with just one match you can get like the crowd behind someone is so good.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like you could do that for
This was a really good booking of. They're like, you know what, Bob? People think you're fucking corny, because and people booed right away. But by the end of this, people are firmly behind this guy like an underdog. Like he's the underdog in this.
Isn't that
And
crazy? He was the WWE champ for that many years and he's seen as an underdog. That's fucking wild.
yeah, So also, by the way, Bob Backlund has the second longest WWE title reign, I believe, with 2,138 days, only behind Bruno
Bruno.
Sammartino, which I
So
don't think it's a record that's ever going to be broken.
no, I mean, no, I mean, maybe Roman can beat Hogan's record. I hope he doesn't. If they have Cody lose at the WrestleMania,
In my opinion, I don't think Roman should beat Hogan's record.
no, I don't. I think those three records. It was different eras back then, and it was a
Yeah,
different
different era.
business. And you don't need to. You don't ever need to beat those records. If
Yeah,
the business changes and like TV changes and the world goes back to like the Stone Age, yeah. If like wrestling's on once a month, yeah, so maybe some guy could be champ for like 5 years and like 20 years if the world fucking falls apart. But the way the world is now, I think dude, I hope like I want Cody to have the belt for like a few months, but I want a period where the title's changing every other month. I think we
yeah.
need that.
I think not. I don't want to say every other month, but if
I do. I do. I want some crazy story with the title before you put it
yeah,
before someone has a
I would
long.
say Roman should drop the title by WrestleMania, and if he does, he's not breaking Hogan's record. But if he stays on, he still needs like close to 200 more days to just beat Hogan's record. So that's still a long ways. So
Yeah,
like
but I don't think
let's
you
just say
should.
Roman Reigns like retains at WrestleMania. Let's just say he does, right? He still needs like another
He has to go
190
till
days.
September.
Yeah, that's 190 days or so, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I don't know how long it would take to do Bob Backlund, but
No, then you got that's like Bob Backlund's in the 2000s. That's like he's in 2000 days reign. So Hogan's like 1,400. So that's
isn't
like
it funny that like nobody can even come close about it? But like he's seen as some loser when he walks in. Dude's fucking crazy. Fucking crazy.
yeah, and that's crazy. But at this point, the booking has gotten the crowd all firmly behind
Mhm.
Bob Backlund. Bob Backlund, he faces off with Yokozuna, and people are so into this. But then he gets thrown out for the 28th elimination by Yokozuna to huge boos. People are fucking upset with this, right?
Mhm.
Savage and Yokozuna are the only ones left, and Yoko looks into the camera and he starts shouting, "Samoa, Samoa forever!"
I noticed that. I noticed that now. Why was he doing that? Why was he doing that?
Stupid.
He does that at the end too.
Yeah, he looks into the camera. To
Dude,
be fair, I didn't.
Vince, if I was Vince, I would have just called an audible and said, "Tell the ref, tell Savage he's going over."
Yeah, I was so fucking mad at this guy too. That when he came back, I would have fucking started yelling at him, going like, "Can you fucking do you? You don't need to fucking shout an entire country
Let me
out."
tell you something. The fact that I never picked up on that until just now because I've watched this event a few times, and the fact that I've never heard another friend mention that. It's a credit to WWE's production because I didn't know he was Samoan until like 2000. I always thought he was Japanese. Like the fact that this guy is just fucking breaking his character to the camera, fucking idiot. Oh god.
That would have been like Undertaker, like fucking choke slamming like somebody and then looking to the camera and going like, Jesus Christ forever."
No, no, totally about his basketball team
Yeah.
that he played in college. Oh, West U basketball team, baby. Like what is Undertaker's talking about?
Samoa, Samoa forever. Fucking cool. I was so I fucking laughed so much at that. It's so stupid. All right. Anyway, people are really firmly behind Randy Savage because they realize how stupid Yokozuna is breaking kayfabe like that.
Mhm.
But and Savage is firing back, and but a super kick uh by Yokozuna. Yes, Yokozuna was a big fat fuck, but the guy could move. Like he
Guy
hit a
could move.
super kick, yeah, and it
He had
kills
the blood of the
all of Savage's momentum. Great kick. The guy could move. He really could, right?
he
For his
could,
size.
no.
Yeah. Yokozuna hits a huge belly to belly and the leg drop and a corner splash all onto Savage. And everyone's just like, oh, like the crowd, every single move is a crowd just like, oh my God, there's no way this guy's unstoppable. But then when Yokozuna tries to go for a second splash, he misses. And then Randy Savage comes up to the top and he fucking hits a flying elbow drop. And then, like the rodeo clown that he is, he goes for a cover. in the Royal Rumble, and Yokozuna pushes him from the mat over the top rope for the win. The crowd is so deflated. They just get super deflated as Caesar and Black Cleopatra come out. And then they do a recap montage, and we see after the end of the montage, we see Bret the Hitman Hart confront Yokozuna backstage with the belt because this is going to be the matchup. Overall, I enjoyed the Royal Rumble. I love the Royal Rumble. I know you
I
didn't like it,
I don't
but
like it, and I don't. I think I think it was a mistake to have Yokozuna win this. I really do. I think Savage
dude,
should have won.
how funny was the way Savage got eliminated? So he made it look
I
so
know.
stupid.
It
God,
made him look so dumb, and then him. And I think the crowd knew, and I knew as a kid that the company's done with Savage. And there's just so many people they give you the message like we're just done with this person. I know you still like them, but you're wrong. And I think that was the wrong message, man. Dude, how much better WrestleMania 9 would have been if it was Savage versus Bret Hart in the main event?
yeah, but I
How
don't think they wanted to do that because I think Vince McMahon knew the people would have cheered more
well
for Savage.
they were done with the Vince thought Savage was just an announcer. He didn't think Savage had any value as a wrestler anymore. He saw Savage as an old man. And he wasn't. He still had years to give the company. Man, it's just like I'm watching this and I'm like, I shouldn't be annoyed because I mean, but I'm annoyed because I'm like, dude, you had matchups and you had the characters that would have kept me involved and kept me invested. And every chance you got, you fucking made those characters look stupid and you didn't do the matches that would have kept me watching. And like you messed up so many times. We're gonna see so many times in '93 how he fucks up. I really can't believe he came back. Like honestly though, he Stone Cold Steve Austin deserves so much credit for saving this company because
I
man is
think he does get a lot of credit.
but
I
Vince
think
but
Austin gets a lot of credit.
Vince should literally just say I didn't do anything. Stone Cold did everything. Like Hogan and Stone Cold did everything. I'm useless because he's useless.
Yeah, no, yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think Hogan, WWE,
Mhm.
they love not giving the wrestlers the credit that they deserve
I
because
know.
if you do that, you give them the power, and they don't want to do that. They want to
I
make it the biggest star is the WWE brand. But
I'm
everybody knows if you're a lifelong fan, if you're a true wrestling fan, you know that it's the wrestlers that made that company.
Yeah. I'm wondering though now if they'll change because someone had a great theory that the fact okay, Hogan said the N-word, but he's never done anything he doesn't have a history of sexual assault. So they're wondering now when they do because they revise history when they don't like you, if they'll now
Yeah.
give all the credit to Hogan and not Vince. And when they celebrate 80s, it'll all be about Hogan and not Vince and probably not Savage. I the more I know about Vince, the more I'm convinced that Savage rumor is true, which is why they downplayed him so much. I'm really starting to think that happened with Stephanie, which is why this family's falling apart. Why Savage wasn't mentioned for decades on when he was still alive. When they brought back everybody, including Sable, who sued for sexual harassment, which could have led to a paper trail what Vince was doing even back then, and they still brought her back, but they wouldn't bring back Savage. I don't know, man. The
I
thing
think
pieces.
they I think when they brought Sable back, was she already dating Brock Lesnar?
No,
Oh.
no,
Um
She met Brock at the during her run.
hmm.
I don't know. It's. I think Hogan's gonna get more credit because I think they're gonna start giving all the credit to Hogan and Dusty because if they have to like erase Vince from history, they can be like, well, Hogan and Dusty changed everything. Dude, here's a big thing you can tell they're moving away from Vince's the fact that they on Raw they said condolences to Ole Anderson.
Yeah, yeah.
There is no way he hated Ole because he thought Ole basically told him, "You're a piece of shit." He hated everything Ole stood for, and he told Ole, "You're never gonna make $1 in this business as long as I live." And every time they reached out to Ole told him to go fuck himself. And they wanted Ole the Hall of Fame in 2012, and Ole told him to go fuck their mother. And Vince was like, "I'm done, never again." So I don't. I think maybe Vince would have had a graphic on the website, but there's no way he would have paused Raw to say something about it. And the
Of
fact
course
they
not. Yeah,
did
yeah. He's gone. Yeah.
but the fact they did that, I think, is a message to Vince. Like we're doing things differently now. The fact that they acknowledged Ole Anderson on Raw, that's big. That's really like that's like big.
Yeah, I think
Well, if you look in the history of all the events, and you realize how big that is.
yeah, I mean, I guess you have to do stuff like that. Did they do anything for Virgil yet? Or well, Virgil was today,
Well,
right?
yeah. What are they gonna do? Like, yeah, there's
Oh
nothing
yeah,
you can do.
I
What are they
didn't
gonna do?
realize. No, wait, I think they actually did already. Twitter, but
Buy commercial time on AEW and be like,
yeah, yeah,
Virgil actually had one of the funniest moments on in the the best thing I saw in 2019 was, and I'll give credit to Virgil. Jericho had a video package detailing his historic AEW career in November in the company, and Virgil's in it. And Virgil
yeah,
was like,
Mike Jones. Yeah,
Mike,
yeah,
and he was like AEW legend. Virgil, you know, what I mean, it was kind of
yeah,
funny because the company just started, and I thought he was really funny in that video. So I
yeah.
hope AEW does a little tribute to him.
They should, 100%. Because he was even if he was in there for just like a split second,
Oh, it was so
doesn't
funny.
matter. Doesn't
That was
matter. Yeah.
probably the best thing Jericho did in AEW so far. It was before his match with Cody at Full Gear in 2019. All right, next week it's Super Bowl 3, Sting Vader 3. Looking forward to that. 2 weeks, WrestleMania 9, Bret Hart versus Yokozuna. 3 weeks, Slamboree 93, British Bulldog versus Vader. And then in 4 weeks, a show I've never seen because of what happens, Hulk Hogan versus Yokozuna at King of the Ring 93. The first
There's actually, man, it's tough. I'm interested. There's like a match at least from all of these I kind of really want to see.
Yeah,
Sting Vader,
I
Hogan versus Yokozuna. I also want to see Yokozuna versus Bret. So
I heard
I'm
I heard the King of the Ring, Brett's matches at the King of the Ring. I heard his match with Mr. Perfect King of the Ring is actually better than SummerSlam 91.
wait. You never saw this entire King of the Ring?
No, I refuse to.
I've seen I saw a couple of Bret's matches in this, and I'm gonna be honest. I think I gotta watch it again because I saw it when I was younger. I thought all three matches were really fucking good.
That's what I hear from everybody. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it for Brett. I mean, I was gonna watch it anyway, even if the whole show
yeah,
sucked.
you have to watch it. Yeah, yeah, you can't
Yeah.
just like you have to watch it.
But
Yeah,
I've stayed away now for 31 years, and everything changes in 4 weeks. This is another big one, like Survivor Series 91. I always stayed away from.
yeah. It'll be interesting.
It'll
All
be
right.
interesting. All right, guys, if you like the show, please subscribe. Ray Goots Comedy on TikTok, Ray Goots on Instagram. I'm also on this season of Sex Before the Internet. Andrew Lee is that's on Vice, by the way. That's a show on Bob a Talking Head. Andrew Lee, Andrew Son of Lee, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
And we'll be back sooner than later with Super Bowl 3. We'll see you then. Thanks for everything.